Welcome to the RePsychled podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts, Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
Dr. LaFanya Jones-Hines,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Now, don't get it twisted. We're not going to be your stereotypical therapist.
What we will be is informative, down to earth, a little spicy, and vulnerable.
All right, interns, turn up your volume, grab your pen and paper. It's supervision time. As a reminder, this podcast is not meant to take the place of a relationship with a licensed mental health professional.
Welcome back to session 80. Duck, duck, goose.
Y'all remember playing that in
You took it from me.
You'd be like, duck, duck, goose.
And I be gone. I be leaning with the quickness.
Right? That was such a fun game.
Do a baseball slide back into your spot.
I always tumbled into somebody. I said, whoever sit next to me realize I'm going to jump into my spot and run into you.
Oh, man.
Well, interns, as you may not be able to guess.
Oh, Happy New Year. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yay.
Yeah, this is the first of the year for us.
Oh,
It
man.
is. Top of the year.
2022. Here we come.
Yes.
Hopefully we don't have any more we don't start the
Don't
year
even,
off.
don't even put it out there.
Okay.
Just pull it back. Pull it back.
No, this is going to be the redemption year.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And thank y'all for tuning in to the live last week. We definitely appreciate it. And always when y'all rock with us, we feel it. We love it.
We love it. We love it. We love the questions.
Mhm.
Okay. So this week we're gonna start the new year off with something fun and funny and trendy. Because this is something that we have not talked about at all. But the pick me person.
Mm-hmm.
We
Pick
going for
me or the
jugular this
simp.
year.
If we talking about men, it's the simp.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That.
Oh, that deserves its own whole session.
Okay. So y'all know I like to start off with a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ladies think that the pick me person is the ideal mate?
In a general sense,
Mm-hmm.
I will say no.
Okay.
Because if you go with the, definition of what people say a pick me is,
Mm-hmm.
This person is putting the needs of the other person before them under all circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to occasionally put another person before you because their needs are outweighing what you need in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're constantly seeking that or doing that, then it leaves you,
It's a mismatch.
yeah.
It makes you feel like you have a yes person all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say in a general sense, no.
I agree with that. I don't think it's a healthy relationship. And I think, the person who's not the pick me is getting everything that they want, but there are other elements to a relationship other than getting what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the growth? Where is the challenge? Where is the, the whole iron sharpening iron?
Mm-hmm.
Like this person is not really valuable to you in the way that you think it is.
So I would agree with what both of you ladies said, but then I'm gonna add a knife in there.
Okay.
I would say in the beginning, yes, because it's surface and they give you everything you want. So of course you think that you're happy. But then if you are not self-aware and you marry this person, you don't realize that this is really not what you want until later on. Because right now it's like, oh yeah, they give me everything.
Vibing.
We vibing. We got a connection. They give me what I want. And so then that makes you think that because they're giving you what you want, you give them what they want, and so y'all happy. You have a false sense of happiness.
Yeah.
But then, like Dr. Wall was saying, then when growth starts to set in, like I want to grow, I want to mature, I want to do more, I want more for myself, then it's like, where's my challenge? And so then the connection fades away.
Oh, yeah. That's a interesting take. I had not thought about how it could start one way and then end up being something else.
My mind also goes to eventually, the pick me is how long can that person maintain that? Without completely sacrificing themselves. Is this something that you willing to die on this hill? Because a lot of people are, I just feel like you have to suppress so much of who you are in order to be a pick me that
they lose themselves.
Man.
So I wanted to give the Urban Dictionary definition of what pick. I mean,
because we got pick Misha.
Oh, right. So I just want to give the definition.
Okay.
So a pick me girl, a girl who goes out of their way to impress boys and make them seem that they're not like other girls, kind of like a simp, but for girls, otherwise known as internalized misogyny.
I was just thinking about that internalized misogyny, but how being a pick me culturally and maybe generationally has served women. Maybe now it doesn't necessarily serve us in the same way that it did, but thinking about I'm gonna go back, anthropology levels here. We go back to like the Stone Age or even, Neanderthals and things like that, where you had to be associated with the strong, the able, the one that could go on and reproduce and things like that. So you had to be chosen by quote unquote the best.
Yeah, both of you had to be back then because they
so,
get you.
For lack of a better term, pimping yourself out in a way, brought you status, brought you stability, and how that over time, has morphed. But originally, did it serve a useful purpose?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, but I think society has shaped us into so many different things, because if you think about it, I could say that I was a pick me because I had a whole lot of homeboys. But I never wanted to be with none of them. They were truly my homeboy. Like, it wasn't that I was just, trying to get any of them to pick me.
Girl, ain't no pick me in you at all just because you got a whole bunch of boys that was your friends.
But I'm just saying, based on
visually.
Yeah, visually. It could seem that way.
Yeah, I get that. How do y'all feel the pick me and the ride or die relate? Are they the same?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think there are elements of both. I don't necessarily think that a pick me is a ride or die,
but a ride or die can be a pick me. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But let's break that down so we can tell them why either or.
Okay. So what I think about the ride or die is I will take it all the way to the end. The die part of ride or die. Like, I'm here for everything. It doesn't matter what you throw my way. I'm riding with you till the absolute end. The pick me, in a general sense, I think at some point they will say, okay, like, so you really just not gonna pick me. So then they will shift that over to somebody else. If someone else starts to give them attention, someone else, seems more attractive or has more than what the other person is, then it may be a little bit easier for them to move, just move along. I think the idea and the mindset of them being a pick-me will still be there, but I don't know if they're desperately tied to just one person.
Yeah, kind of like the analogy, and this is totally different than what you're saying, but the analogy of all shoes are not sneakers, but all sneakers are shoes.
Yes.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
So if you all want a visual of someone. If you watch Greenleaf,
Mm-hmm.
Charity, she was the one who could sing of the Greenleaf family. She is a very good example.
Top tier pick me.
Exactly. And why? Because it was almost like she would do, well, no, not almost. She was doing anything
And everybody.
to get love.
Another one, I was reading an article about pygmies, and they had Carrie from Sex and the City as a
Really?
pygmy for Mr. Big.
Yeah. I can see that.
But she do got that energy.
Mm-hmm.
She really do. She ain't no ride or die. But yeah,
she wasn't a ride or die, but she definitely.
I could say that for Mr. Big. Now, for the other ones she dated, but Mr. Big, yes.
Well, that's why I think a ride or die is different than a pick me, because she was not necessarily a ride or die, because she would leave Mr. Big alone, but when he came back around.
Yes. Yeah. So let's drop into some black sitcoms.
Okay.
Regine.
Oh.
Pick Me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else in a cast like that.
What about Girlfriends?
I would say Joan.
Even
though I love Joan.
I did too.
Yeah,
but she's a pick me.
I thought you was getting ready to say so. I thought you was getting ready to say one of our favorite actors or actresses or something because what she did to her face. Let's think.
I was trying to think. I was thinking about Pam from Martin, but I was like, no.
No, I don't get those vibes from her.
Yeah, I didn't either. After I thought about it, I was like, nah. Trying to think of other sitcoms that had
low key Molly.
From Insecure?
Yeah.
Just a sophisticated version of it?
Yeah, because she always chasing a man.
Is that the attorney?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, even from the first show, because I only seen the first one because whatever. But I did like it, but I just haven't seen the rest of them yet. But even from the first show, I was like, you doing you okay? This is what we doing.
I think she's an evolving pygmy.
Yeah, she's working on it.
Yeah, from the first season. I haven't seen the last two, but from the first three that I saw, yeah, I can see her evolution in that mindset. But I could see that.
I would even say, I mean, it's a movie, but that movie, he's not that into you. She was a pygmy.
I mean, look at the title,
right?
Clearly, right. The whole book about being a pygmy.
Exactly, a whole book. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think that hopefully, interns, that gives y'all some reference points that make sense for what that looks like. You know, of course, that's going to be some slightly extreme, sensationalized versions of those, but there are trust. If you watch Love and Hip Hop or any of Basketball Wives,
any one of them,
you know, those types of shows, you will see a lot of that type of behavior. Even the Housewives,
oh yeah,
you'll see that in various levels and forms.
Yeah, because I was going to say, Portia show is one.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, she everybody thinks that Portia is dumb, but Portia is not dumb. Portia's playing the game.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, it's easy, and you know, I don't know this woman, but it's easy to look like an airhead.
Yeah.
But be undercover like brilliant.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, she ain't got all these businesses and come from the legacy she come from to really be as, you know, vapid as people think.
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
Yeah.
I had a question and it literally just left.
It flew the nest.
It did.
It'll come back to you.
It will if we keep talking.
So, Dr. Jones, you talked about the internalized misogyny. What does that even mean?
So, when we talk about internalized misogyny, it's like you are either internalizing your attacks on you, or you are out externally attacking other women, slut shaming women.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking you've taken on the belief of the hatred of women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you are one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
I'm not that girl. I'm not like other girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. It centers around picking up the views of a patriarchal society. And let's just be honest, majority of the cultures in the world today are patriarchal. They're no longer a lot of matriarchal societies.
Mm-hmm.
Even the queen is patriarchal. You know what I mean? Because obviously. But I find it so weird that in the situation of a pick-me, this woman want to be chose so bad, but you willing to annihilate the next person, but you don't want to be annihilated. Like, it's that disconnect. Like, I have to separate myself, so I'm chosen. No, you're not being chosen for that. You're being chosen because they can mold you into whatever they want you to be.
Oh yeah, I would have. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was that's the same. Like, I can't stand when men say, "Oh, I'm not like other dudes." Yeah, you are. You're like them. And even, I mean, same thing for women. Women say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we think we're different because we can bring something different to the table, but that doesn't mean that you're different in how you present yourself, how you think, because a lot of us think the same. I mean, we have some tweaks,
of course,
but because of us living in society shapes the way we think.
Oh yeah, we talk about subliminal messaging, all kinds of stuff. Now, do you guys believe that the pick me and or the simp, I know we're not necessarily specifically talking about them, but we've talked before and with clients about we attract certain types of individuals. So victims tend to attract rescuers and abusers, and rescuers attract victims, things like that. Do you believe or think that the pick me attracts a certain type of man?
Yes.
Or person?
I do. I think it's rare that you get a healthy partner. I think they tend to attract someone who is narcissistic or misogynistic.
I was going to say an alpha male.
Like an Ultima. Ultima. Ultimate.
Yes.
Because my head I was thinking a Sigma male, but because they're a little bit beyond an alpha male.
Yeah. And y'all, we gonna break that down. It's coming. It's coming in a couple of months. It definitely is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I think with pick-me's, for whatever reason, their reach, I don't want to say their reach is far beyond what they can have, because you can have anybody, but they tend to have a certain type.
They going for the stereotypical man. And in all reality, we're not going to get fully into this. The person that came up with the alpha male that studied alpha wolves, like, he later went back and recanted everything that he said about that being the way wolves are. And, people weren't trying to listen after that, because, you're supposed to study your information before you release it, so you don't have this mass
turnaround.
Yeah. And so it's not even a healthy thing. Like, that is not the way wolves operate. Like, wolves
they're actually pretty matriarchal.
They are very matriarchal and protective of each other. Very. Like, if you look at most groupings of animals, typically the women run it.
Lions.
Because
hyenas.
They be getting got all the time.
Yes.
But
them some bad bees, boy.
They don't play. They will murk. The headline. But I said all that to say this. Like, to me, when you don't really sit with yourself and identify what it is you want and who you're going to need throughout your life, and you don't have to have it perfect or anything like that, because we change all the time. But when you don't do that, you will fall for anything, and it goes into this place of, I just need a man. I don't care what man, I just need a man. And then we get these situations.
And that, I think that goes into, I think we've said this before, getting to know yourself in your singleness and being comfortable and accepting your singleness. Yes. This is not to say that you can't have male friends or female friends and date and things like that. But what we're saying is, don't be that person that's always in somebody's face
Yeah.
of wanting to be chosen, of wanting to be in a relationship. Learn who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Being single, as the church people say,
Mm.
learn your assignment, your singleness assignment.
I agree. You know, until you really understand you're not going to know what you're experiencing and if it's really for you. You know, I talk a lot with my clients about what do you experience when you're with this person. So if you say, oh, I want an honest man. Okay. So when you asked him this question, did he provide honesty? Not that you're looking for an honest man, because you're not going to be able to determine that by looking at him. But if you pay attention and observe what you're experiencing, did you experience an honest moment? When you, or if you want somebody that's patient, okay, so what's your observation of his patience level? So when y'all were at the restaurant and they got his order wrong, or they were late with the food, did he pop off and have an attitude and, you know, cause a scene? That's, you know, it's not always just, I want to insert. Like, you have to be observant of what your experience is. And if you're just living by that kind of pick me, I just will take it because it's there, you're not paying attention to what you're living and breathing with this other person.
And that prevents you from being able to hold yourself accountable and him accountable. Because if you don't hold people accountable, then they'll treat you any kind of way. And people tend to learn that very quick. Like, I can just do anything because you're not going to call me out. You're not going to make me responsible for my behavior, what I said, anything. Be okay with calling people out, or calling, since we're talking about women, calling men out, or women out, for whatever it is.
Yeah. I think the biggest fallacy of the pick me archetype is that they're waiting on someone to, you know, deem them worthy, to validate their worth, when you already are your worth. You know what I mean?
Being alive means that you're worthy.
Can't nobody change my value.
Right.
Even I can't change it. I can treat myself like garbage, or I can allow somebody else to treat me like garbage, but my value don't change. And it's sad that we've been in this setting of these thoughts so long that we are like, let me conform myself into this. And, you know, this ain't nothing new. This been going on for a minute. Like I said, we don't really have very many matriarchal societies anymore, so this been going on. But at some point, the lack of accountability in our society is now infiltrating everything, and there's no checks and balances anymore.
And when we say accountability, you know, we mean a genuine, true willingness and capacity to accept responsibility.
Yes.
Because if you cannot do that, then you're not truly being accountable. It's so much going on in the world right now, and we could all use some extra support. At Balanced Beacon, we offer counseling services for individuals, couples, families, and groups. If you're in Texas, give us a call at 214-396-6503 or visit our website at www.balancedbeacon.com for more information. So I did have a question for you guys. So with the kind of advent of social media and the internet, do you believe it has made it easier, harder, or just no major difference for the pick me?
Wait, ask the question one more time.
With, you know, the creation of social media and the internet, do you think it's made it easier, harder, or no real change for the pick me?
And we're saying specifically the pick me, or her to do something?
To be chosen.
I think that it has made it more difficult because I do believe there's a correlation with, you know, the decline in people staying married, the decline in people getting married. Like I think there is a correlation with that. There is an excess of option. And so people are like, "Ooh, I want the next best thing," or "I want this, I want that." Like people are looking at relationships as as if they in Toys R Us, you know, instead of it being like, okay, let me see who I can build with. And I'm not saying you got to build with somebody for your whole life, because that may not be your thing. Everybody does not want to have the same mate their whole life.
Right.
Cool, no problem. But if that is something that you desire, you do have to go about life a bit differently. And because we see the Instagram models, because we see this particular way of success or relationship success, we conform to what we think is going to work, and in reality it don't work for us, because it's a whole bunch of unhealthy, unhappy, miserable people on social media. But you look at them and you're like, oh man, couple goals, or oh man, business goals, and they not happy.
Yeah,
I would agree. But to add to it, I would say it's more difficult, because women now compare themselves to other women on the internet. Body shape, hair,
face,
right,
style of dress.
And so I think when you have women who already deal with the pick me, is meaning, they probably have low self-esteem. They may not feel worthy. So now you have them searching for what, like Dr. Wall was saying, what men's idea of a girlfriend, wife, woman, whatever it is.
Yeah. This makes me think about, I had sent you guys that review that woman did of that couple.
Toby and Fat.
And, of course, there was a lot of discourse online, because this is actually a fairly old set of videos from them.
Yeah, it's not recent,
but they resurfaced recently somehow. I don't know how this stuff happens.
You know how people, ooh, this new artist, blah blah blah,
and they
go do the deep dive, and in the deep dive pull up stuff that might not
show you in the best light.
Yeah.
But and of course people can go Google or YouTube if they want to see the actual videos themselves. But what you guys were just saying makes me think about that, how at one point they were considered to be a couple's goal, because in their music videos they seem to be very family oriented and all of that. But when you go back and look at their How We Started story, it's like, whoa,
it's harsh. And I would say I love them as a rap duo. I do love that. But as a therapist, I can look and see that there's some stuff that needs to be worked on, and Fat would definitely fall into that category of the ride or die that is a pick me.
And now that we've said this, and y'all go look at the video, this is a one-off chance that this is gonna work.
Yes.
Don't think, Fat and Toby made it. They did, probably barely, but they did.
Yeah. I'm glad you put that disclaimer out there, because that is not the norm.
Right.
No, and please, folks who's churchy, please don't come in there, well, she knew the assignment and God told her. Yeah, but that ain't what God had told Toby. And Toby says this in the interview. I think the biggest problem I have with the interview is that it's so abrasive. And I'm not saying that they need to change their relationship completely. This works for them. But it's just a lot of abrasiveness, and it appears to be a lot of not caring for how she feels or how things that she would need. And we can tell she's definitely taken care of now. But then,
back then it was definitely.
Well, and the thing about it is, I can respect what you just said. However, he wasn't interested in her.
No, and he was honest.
And he was honest about that,
which I appreciate.
I appreciate all of that.
Yeah.
And this why I say this situation
is a
fall on Fat. If She was like, I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Because I'm wearing you down, Laura. Like, that's the mentality that she took.
That was exactly what my thought process was.
And I was like,
oh, that's Urkel right there. I'm wearing you down.
But it's that quote that's been going around in social media for a couple years now. When you realize that you put somebody in the friend zone, but then the person that you put in the friend zone, you realize they were never your friend because they was just waiting on you to open up and allow them to do what they want to do to you.
Yeah.
Like it's so many levels of stuff.
Yeah.
Because now I'm not going to say this about them.
No.
But just based off the quote you just said.
Yeah.
Is the pick me predatory?
Ooh, girl, you just.
Yeah.
That,
I would say the pick me is predatory, but because it's stereotypically in the form of a woman, it's not deemed as
dangerous.
Dangerous. Even though clearly we know women are dangerous. I think it goes back to what we were talking about, not saying that this is what this is, but when we were discussing the different types of narcissism, covert narcissism looks like somebody that you need to help.
Yeah.
And so people don't typically pick up on it because it's
so subtle.
But it is. But it's steeped in patriarchy. So yeah.
but it's all in the name of love. It's all in the name of love.
So we're stepping in the name of love. You see how that turned out. You see how that turned out.
Love it.
Years of prison.
I like that.
I love that.
But I think yes, and I think you make a good point. Dr. Jones-Hines, that it is steeped in love. So anytime we can wrap something in a nice, pretty bow, it's a nice, damsel in distress. I just want you. It makes it so that it's underlying.
Well, remember what we said many, many, many sessions ago. All love ain't good love, because that's mania. Obsessive love like that, and that ain't what you want. Yeah, you do love him. You genuinely love that person, but it's not a healthy love.
Yeah, because the thing about it is, if the shoe was on the other foot and it was a man, he would be a stalker.
Oh, yes. Well, I think that kind of goes back to that patriarchal idea on how we give men so many much harsher terminologies and consequences to similar behavior. This goes back to our toxic femininity one. And is the pick me a toxic femininity? Because that's also steeped in patriarchy as well.
It's a toxic masculinity. Because the pick me gears towards being different than all women and more like men. But yeah.
True.
Man.
Look at them deep dives.
We didn't even know we was going to do. We couldn't even warn y'all.
I know. So the other point is to make sure you have standards. In order to not be a pick me, make sure you have standards. And just because, and we're not talking about the list thing. Y'all know we talked about that before, and we talked y'all against that. We're not talking about the list. We're talking about having standards. Standards is your foundation.
The requirements to engage.
Yes.
Like we talked about this many times. Like I told y'all, my top 3: stability, integrity, and consistency. If you ain't got that, there ain't no chance you coming in my life at all. Like and that's the bare minimum.
And if she chooses someone that goes against that, it's going to make her miserable.
It's the dissonance for me.
Right. Right. It's going to make her depressed. It's going to make her anxious because she's going against her standards. You have to, that's why we keep saying you have to know who you are. You have to know what your standards are.
Now, if you are a person who is not, trying to be with somebody for love, that's also cool. But you need to still know your standards. If you are someone that is getting with somebody for money, okay, what's your requirements of that? And what is the requirements of how that providing is doled out to you? Because if it's just to be on a rich woman's arm, that's not going to be sufficient for your standard. So I'm not saying it has to be love.
Right. And know if it's for money and know how you want him to get his money, whether it's legal or illegal. Hey, both of them get money. So how do you want it?
Yeah. There was recently this quote or a Twitter, I don't know, from B. Simone. And she was talking about, black men being kings and, but they need to do better. And some of the commentary that was, and I hate that I don't have the direct quote here, but some of the commentary in response to that was, how are you going to be hold accountable but be a pick me at the same time? Those two things don't really.
They don't go.
They don't go together. Because you're uplifting but saying do better. Like if someone is a king, how can they be a pauper at the same time?
So y'all didn't pay attention in history class because it was a lot of them.
A lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think people just want love so bad that they don't realize that what they're looking for is what they need to find within themselves first, because anything that somebody else gives you is extra. They don't feel your voids, you feel your voids. It's the same concept of when we're talking about, are you healed? Are you picking people from your wound, or are you picking people from your scar? And I think a lot of times we are picking people from our wound. And so that's not a place of stability. That's not a place of healing. It's a place of you out here doing the absolute most and getting nothing.
A part of that also can make you become a chameleon to be the person that this man wants you to be. And so the thing about it is you now become confused because I always use this example. Just like Julia Roberts,
I was just thinking
on
that.
Runaway Bride, she didn't even know what kind of egg she liked because she had changed it every fiance she had. So in order for
Girl
you
didn't even like eggs,
right? She didn't even like eggs, but she was taking on all of them. And so, in order for you to be able to become a suitable mate for anyone, you have to be a suitable mate for you. And if you can't take care of you, one of the things that I used to do before I got married is I would take myself on a date.
Ain't that so fun?
Every Friday, every Friday that I got paid, when I was eating meat, I would go to Texas Roadhouse and get me a porterhouse.
I was about to say something real inappropriate.
I know you was.
But I was like, let me not be the sex therapist today.
That's funny.
Hey, that's coming.
Please note it is.
Mm-hmm.
My thing when I would take myself out is I love going to like Studio Movie Grill or Movie Tavern. I am a huge fan of the eat and watch a movie, but I love going to the movies, which stupid panini press.
You need to go to iPick. Have you been to iPick?
No.
What's that?
iPick is like the upper echelon.
Where is that?
Plano area.
Oh,
thank you. iPick. I will be looking.
Are you talking about Epic in Grand Prairie?
iPick.
Huh.
I've been a member since 2005.
Okay. All right.
I'll ask you off.
We having a moment, y'all.
Sorry. I was about to go on a whole tangent there.
Oh yeah.
But I love going to the movies, and when I found out about the whole eat and dine, dine and movie experience, I was like, what? I was hooked from then on.
Yeah.
So that's like my thing when I like to take myself out.
Y'all already know. I start my day off with lying in the bed. Lying in the bed, reading books, and then I elevate on up to brunch with myself, or if I want to go like get my nails done. Well, now we talking about now. Go get my nails done, do a facial, things like that, because I'm bad and bougie.
Okay, come
but
on. Love it.
But I love it because I want to go. I want to do the things that I need for myself, and that also becomes the measure of, can anybody coming in my life romantically maintain that. Because if I'm asking him to come into my life, if I'm choosing him, I also am going to have to maintain certain things in his life.
Absolutely.
So if that don't work out and he's talking about, oh, you doing too much and I don't like it, then I'm gonna be like, okay, well, we don't got to go together.
No. And because that's the one thing that I tell my single women, because I have a lot of single women, is that if you have your own apartment, why would you choose somebody who live with their mama? They need to be able to afford to put you in something else. You can afford your own apartment. And hey, y'all can say that's gold digging if you want to. But my husband can afford to put me in a bigger house.
I don't think it's necessarily gold digging. Now, will I say that you have to make sure that he not just living with his mama? Are they living together? Because those are different circumstances. But I get what you're saying, because if y'all are trying to go to a different level together, and he's already at a level that's or two that's different than yours, you have to ask yourself that. But if that particular person is they're still staying communally, then that's different, because you stay communally, everybody contributing, and he does have the capability of doing that. But we talking about actual living, like, because it could be other circumstances, nothing.
Like maybe his mom is sick or something like that, and he's taking care of her. So that's a different situation. Yeah. I'm talking about literally
and don't do nothing,
right? And because my husband will tell y'all, on our first date, he took me to Red Lobster, and I ordered the ultimate feast. I wasn't gonna eat all of it, but I needed to see if you could afford it, because I can afford my own steak, my own porterhouse, sir. So can you, since you taking me to Red Lobster, can you afford? I tried to order the most expensive thing on.
That's like, can I get the filet mignon and the lobster out of the tank, please?
Thank you. It was because it was alive. I can't touch it. I can't do it. But
don't have her in here freaking out.
But he teased me about that all the time. I took you out and you ordered the biggest thing on the menu.
The $24 item. Sure did.
I sure did, sir.
Now they doing way bigger things.
Yes.
Can't even keep up. Keeping up with the Heinzes.
Shoot. The Jones Heinzes. Yeah, because clearly y'all was balling out of control at the wedding. I was like, y'all bought me liquor? It be the little things. Once you get older, you like, you do like me. Yeah.
But it's stuff like that. You have to, if you know what your, because I knew what my standards were, and I know I like to shop. I like to find the things. I'm bougie. Whatever. I'm bad and bougie. I don't care what you say about me. It don't matter. But I knew the lifestyle that I wanted to live.
Yeah.
And so I needed to make sure that he could afford it, but also that we could afford it together, because I knew where I was going.
Yeah.
And so I need both of us to be able to ride each other's curtail.
Oh, yeah. I agree. All that sound good. I have become bougie. I didn't start off that way.
No, and I think it's different levels of bougie, because y'all know I'm the least bougie out of everybody. But when I go into like spa time, it's bougie time. Like we're not skimping on nothing. You know?
So as you can see, guys, we're not pick-me's.
No,
I ain't got time to be no pick-me, because I don't be caring. I don't like people.
That has some spice on it.
I don't. I'm just saying, like, it irritates me to do that. Now, people pleaser, yes, I was a people pleaser, but I was not a pick me. I was genuinely wanting to love and help and, you know, be with people. But was I conforming myself? No, you still gonna get the same nerdy.
Yeah, I was going to ask it what the difference was.
The difference between
people pleaser and pick me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I wanted people to be happy, but that didn't mean that I was not going to innately be myself. Was I going to break my back to make them happy? Yes, but I was still going to be me. I'm still going to be like, hey, you want to read Twilight together? Like, I'm still going to be like, hey, you did it. Like, the things that I was doing were things that I already did.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, see, I think I ended up being like the home girl, because, you know, a lot of times dudes want to have sex or want to have sexy time.
Well, it goes back to what we were saying. They was trying to play a position that wasn't open.
Right. And I wasn't that girl. And they knew it. Like I was in middle school, I was the the locker room talk. The new guy would come and be like, "Who is that?" They'd be like, "Yeah, no, don't even try. She ain't giving it up. She'll be a cool homegirl though." And I think that's how I became the homegirl.
Yeah.
Because even when I went to college, it was the same thing. Like I danced for the basketball team, and they would always be like, "Hey, hook me up with so and so." But I was never the one that they wanted to be hooked up with, which I was fine because I didn't want to date nobody at my school anyway. But I was fine with that.
You become the sister. Like I remember, same situation. Like everybody used to call me baby girl because I love y'all know I love Aaliyah. But they used to call me baby girl. Like all my little dancing partners throughout the year, like they might have thought it, and I don't know this for certain. They might have thought it, but they never tried to be with me. Never tried to date me. I was a sister. If something popped off, they made sure I was protected. No, none of that. I knew people thought I was cute, but not necessarily like they was just dropping at my feet or anything like that. And that never, that sort of thing never happened.
Yeah, I never felt like I was unattractive. I just knew that I wasn't putting out what they wanted. But I mean, and I think for the most part, everybody knew how involved in church I am. So
we didn't have time.
Right. So because they knew what I believed, they just didn't even try.
Yeah.
But I think that makes sense because I think all of us have a certain mentality about there's things that I need to accomplish. Yeah, we've had some stumbling blocks throughout life. But I think you have a certain mentality, and you have to have a certain mentality when you're trying to get a doctorate and all these other things that you want to do. You don't got time for the nonsense.
Yeah.
And I also think just kind of hearing some of what y'all was saying, that it keeps, if you have those types of goals and things that keep you occupied and focused, you don't have the ability to become a pick-me because you are goal focused and oriented. So your mind is already operating in a different plane. It's not to say that there aren't career driven and focused women that
Molly.
Exactly. It's not to say that there aren't ones like that. You become a pick-me on a different scale. But for the most part, I would say that you just think different. And when you start to think different, you do different. And you expect different.
I agree.
Okay.
So I would say, for some of my last words, evaluate yourself and the people that you have around you. Make sure you're not engaging in internalized misogyny. Make sure you have some standards, and make sure that even if you do have male friends, that's fine, but make sure you're not around because one day you want them to choose you.
Yeah. Something I've been really working on with a variety of my clients is know your why. Start understanding your why you choose the things that you choose, why the things you the decisions that you make. If you don't have a better understanding on why you're making this decision, whether it's good or I hate good, but whether it's healthy or unhealthy, even healthy decisions, do you understand why you're going in that direction? So just to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, Dr. Jones-Hines, is understand your why.
I mean, I concur with all the things y'all said. I really don't have anything to add to that. Make sure you doing you, y'all, in a healthy way. We already talked about this.
Yes.
But I mean, I think that's going to be the key to any type of success in somebody's life, is really figuring out what the doing them looks like and then implementing it in a way that is beneficial.
Absolutely. So one thing we want to kind of start doing is prepping you guys what the next session will be about, so that you kind of have an idea and aren't flying blind. So next week we will be talking about the differences between making an ultimatum, setting a boundary, and having rules. Because sometimes these things get crossed up and we make them all one and the same.
And they're not.
Yeah. But as is customary, we always end off with a quote. And Dr. Wall, it goes.
This quote is anonymous and it reads, It's hard to wait around for something you know might never happen, but it's even harder to give up when it's everything you want.
Must be this volume control.
So, okay, interns, process your notes. Be sure to catch us next session and find us on all major platforms at the RePsychled Podcast.
If you're a new intern, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Thanks for listening. And remember, we are shifting and reshaping our psyche through healing conversations and connections, one discussion at a time.